Dear students, greetings to all. In this module, we'll be continuing with our ongoing chapter, Chapter 6 of Biology, Molecular Basis of Inheritance. In this module, we will be discussing about DNA fingerprinting, also referred to as DNA profiling. DNA fingerprinting is a technique that is based on the similarities and differences of the DNA fragment. So here in this technique we exploit the differences between the DNA fragments of two individuals. This technique was developed by Alex Zafiris in the year 1985. Now the DNA carries the non-coding repetitive sequences. These repetitive sequences, they are present in the heterochromatin region, which is basically a condensed part. So now if we talk about the chromatin, it comprises of a highly condensed heterochromatin, a euchromatin region, again a heterochromatin region, which is tightly coiled, and it is an inactive region. It does not participate in the process of transcription, and that's the non-coding part. Now, number of repeats, they are specific from person to person. For example, like if we talk about the repetitive sequence here, like GATA, so that gets repeated 8 times in person 1. In person 2, it has 9 repeats. In person 3, it has 10 repeats. So, the number of times the nucleotide or the base pair sequence they get repeated, they'll vary from person to person. And these repeats are referred to as the tandem repeats. The repetitive DNA that can be separated from the bulk genomic DNA. So the genomic DNA, it forms 99.9% of the total DNA, and it is the DNA which is similar. When we talk about the 0.1% of the DNA, that's the repetitive DNA, that is the one which will vary in individual, and that will act as a unique character of a particular individual. So the separation can be carried out using density gradient centrifugation, where on the basis of the density, the different repetitive fragments, they'll get separated. With the ones which are having a higher density, they'll get settled lower, and at the top will be the ones which have got the least density. The bulk DNA will form a major peak, and the small peaks, they are formed by the satellite DNA. Talking about the basis of DNA fingerprinting, so it depends upon the presence of the repetitive sequences. Now, the satellite DNA is formed when, like for example, if we take this to be the chromosome, so here is the centromere that is formed out of primary constriction. If a secondary constriction develops here at the end, that would lead to the formation of the satellite DNA. Now, these satellite DNA, they are the repetitive DNA. They could be microsatellites or they could be mini satellites. Based upon the base composition, whether they are AT rich or whether they are GC rich, and also in the length of the segment and how many times the number of repetitive units. Now, when we talk about the DNA, which is tandemly repeated, it is referred to as variable number of tandem repeat, or that stands for VNTR. So, VNTR, it belongs to the mini satellite. And these mini satellites, they've got the base pair sequences up to 25 base pairs, repetitive sequences, and that can be identified. They're specific for a particular individual. Now, in a person, the copy number varies in each chromosome. Like, for example, if we take two alleles, like the paternal and the maternal of a same chromosome, they'll contain the different copy of the variable number of tandem repeats. As we can see over here, that the repetitive sequences in the paternal and the maternal chromosome, they are showing variation. So in case of microsatellite, we see that the size is near about 2 to 6 base pairs. In case of mini satellites, the base pair sequences, they range basically from 25 base pairs. Talking about VNTR, that is specific for a particular person, the size of VNTR, they may vary from 0.1 to 20 kilobase pairs, kilobase. Any difference in the nucleotide sequence, that could be because of mutation, that may lead to variation, and that is what is referred to as DNA polymorphism. Polymorphism, that means the variation, it is higher in the non-coding part, which is the repetitive part, which is the non-coding region. Now here we see that the changes, they occur because of just a change in one nucleotide, and that is what is referred to as SNPs or SNPs. So polymorphism, they play a great role in evolution and speciation, that refers to formation of new species. And now when these mutations, they get accumulated from one generation to next, that would lead to polymorphism. Now let us discuss about the steps involved in the process of DNA fingerprinting. That is what is referred to as southern blotting. So firstly, we'll carry out the isolation of the DNA. The isolation of the DNA could be done from the blood cells, basically the WBC, as the RBCs lack nucleus, from the hair cell, from the semen, saliva, and even the bone cell, as well as the skin. So the DNA sample is isolated and it is extracted. The next step is the digestion of the DNA with the help of the restriction enzymes, which are referred to as restriction endonucleases. They are referred to as RE, that stands for restriction enzymes. And endonuclease, because they'll not just bring about terminal cleavage, they'll cleave internally as well. So the DNA sample will carry out the cleavage of it with the help of restriction enzyme. Like here, the restriction enzyme which is used, that is ECOR1. And it has got the palindromic site where it carries out cleavage, that is represented here as GAATTC. So that's the palindromic site when it is read from the 5' end. So the cleavage is carried out between G and A, as can be seen over here, GA over here on the strand. Now thus we obtain smaller short fragments having just one the nitrogenous base, that is guanine, as well as we have got large fragments. Now these fragments which are generated, they've got sticky ends because the cleavage was unequal. Next step is the separation of DNA fragments. To carry out the separation of DNA fragments, we will use an apparatus which is referred to as the electrophoresis tank. Now here, electro, that refers to electric current, and phoresis refers to movement. So the movement of DNA fragments will take place under the influence of electric current. Now DNA, it is negatively charged because it contains PO4 3-, that is the phosphate group. So because of the phosphate group, the DNA is negatively charged, and hence the DNA will move towards the positive electrode. Now the electrophoresis tank, we are going to place the gel in it and the buffer solution. The gel which is placed over here, as can be seen, it is the agarose gel. Agar is a powder which is obtained from the algae Gelidium, but this agarose, it is more purified form, and it helps in visualization of the bands properly. With the help of the comb, we are going to create wells at the negative terminal, and we'll carry out the loading of the DNA fragments isolated in the wells. So here, where the arrows have been depicted, we are going to carry out the loading of the DNA fragments, which we had obtained in step number 2. And DNA being negatively charged, so on the basis of the length of the fragment, we'll see that the smaller fragments, they will find them at the end, as can be seen over here, and the larger fragments, they'll remain behind. Now this is how the fragments, when they get separated, they appear when they are visualized by using the autoradiography technique. Talking about the southern blotting, again, the 4th step, that is transferring of the DNA fragments, because they've got more affinity for the nitrocellulose membrane or the nylon sheet. So we are going to place this gel onto the nitrocellulose membrane. The fragments from the gel, they will get transferred onto the nitrocellulose membrane as the DNA has got more affinity with it. So here we can see that the nitrocellulose membrane, here we can see the gel, the sponge, and the tray which has got the buffer solution. The next is the hybridization by using the radioactive variable number of tandem repeats probe. So here the radioactive VNTR probes have been labeled, the extra probes they have been washed, the VNTR probes which are complementary, they will hybridize with the DNA fragments. In the next step, we'll carry out the detection of the hybridized probe with the help of the fragments which have hybridized with the probe with the help of autoradiography. So hybridized DNA can be also photographed onto an X-ray film like this over here. The autoradiogram, it will give the image in the form of dark and light bands, and that is what is referred to as DNA fingerprinting. Now for DNA fingerprinting, it will differ in everyone except the ones which are monozygotic, that means the twins which are identical. Now this technique, we can increase its sensitivity by carrying out the amplification, obtaining large number of copies by using PCR. So the steps at a glance: first, to carry out the isolation of the DNA. Second, to digest the DNA fragment with the help of restriction enzymes. The third is to carry out separation using gel electrophoresis. Then to transfer onto a synthetic membrane, which is nitrocellulose membrane. Hybridization with the probe and the detection of the DNA using autoradiography. Now, what is the application of DNA fingerprinting? It is used as a forensic tool to solve the paternity, rape, and murder issues. For the diagnosis of genetic diseases, we could use this technique of DNA fingerprinting. It also helps to determine the phylogenetic status or the evolutionary relationship. It helps to determine the population and the genetic diversities which have cropped up that led to the formation of new species. Now, when we talk about the forensic tool, so as said, we can use it for solving the paternity using DNA fingerprinting. Now, this person one is likely to be the father of the child. This is because here when we take that this is the mother, this is the child, the father will be person one, because we can see the similarity between the fragments which have got separated by the technique of DNA fingerprinting. Now it could be used as a forensic for forensic tool. It can be used as a forensic tool, as we can say that if we have obtained this C as the separation of the fragments from the site of murder, and if we have doubt in person A and B, so we can take the DNA and carry out the analysis, and then we'll come to the conclusion that B has got the fragments, the separation of the fragments is similar to that of the DNA fragment that was obtained from the murder site, that is C. And hence, B could be the person who got involved in the process. So this is how it can be used as a forensic tool to solve the murder mysteries or to solve a crime scene with the help of DNA fingerprinting. In this module, we had a detailed discussion on DNA fingerprinting, a technique developed by Alex Jeffreys. Hopefully, you must have garnered all the concepts thoroughly. Thank you for being a patient listener.